Hey everyone, Alex here of Nerds at Odds, and welcome to my PS5 first impressions video. I've had it since Sunday, and today is Tuesday, so I've had it for about 2 days, maybe a little over. I'm just going to give you a rundown on my first thoughts of the system itself. I've been playing several games on it. You'll get review videos of those separately, and you'll hear all reviews of those in the podcast form. But I just want to give this video out to talk about how I feel about the system personally as a lifelong PlayStation fan. And for those of you who listen to the podcast, you may have heard of next gen console discussion episode with our special guest that just recently came out. But I wanted to get this video out as well and put it up on YouTube to kind of grow the YouTube channel over there with more video content, and to kind of give y'all just a one-on-one rundown of how I feel about the system personally. So, let's get started with our first impressions of it as a whole. I think it is a huge leap forward from PS4, even though initially it didn't seem like the system could get that much better. I feel like the ability to do 4K HDR, 60, ray tracing, the SSD load times are dramatically decreased. I like how the UI is in 4K and HDR. It's just a very beautiful, fast experience all around. That also shows through with how the PlayStation Store is integrated into the UI. You just scroll over to the app over here on the left, and you hit X or press down, and you're automatically in the store. You don't have to load up an app anymore. It is a very fast and snappy experience. The same thing goes with PlayStation Plus and PS Now. You can see those on the right over here integrated into the system. You hit X or push down on those as well, and you're immediately in those apps. No more time waiting around for an application to load. And just to talk about PlayStation Plus a little more, because this has changed the most from the store or PS Now, which both run better and are more sleekly designed. But PS Plus has some new features that make it that much better than the PlayStation Plus experience on PS4. First of all, you have this PlayStation Plus collection, which all PlayStation Plus subscribers get on PS5. It has 20 games, I believe, included with it for free, and it is just all the best games from PlayStation 4. If you didn't play PlayStation 4, you really want to experience most of these games, because all of them are excellent 10 out of 10 games, especially like God of War, Bloodborne, Persona 5. You want to check out those first. So that's just something you get for free, even if you aren't going to buy Demon's Souls or Spider-Man, any of that. So if you have a PS5, check those out. And now I want to discuss a couple things that I hear people having problems with, and I think that it's confusing me how people are having problems with these things. So let's just talk about it a little bit. The storage on the PlayStation, while it is about 200 gigabytes less than the Xbox, I think, is not a problem. It's not a problem on the Xbox either, especially since it has more, but you're getting like 650 gigs or so on PlayStation 5, and I hear people talking about how they immediately filled up their storage with games as soon as they got the PlayStation 5, and I guess that's possible, but my question is, what games are you downloading that you're filling up this storage, you know? I currently have Bloodborne, God of War, Destiny 2, Bugsnax, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Astro's Playroom, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I think I'm even missing one or two more. Overcooked. I have like 8 or 9 games on this thing, and I have over 300 gigabytes left. So I don't know what you're downloading. Even if I had Call of Duty Black Ops on the system, I would still have about 200 gigs left, and that's like 10 or 11 games. And those are huge, like Assassin's Creed and Destiny 2. And I have Skyrim on there as well, as you'll see in this picture I'm putting up. Like, these are huge games. I don't know who's bouncing between twice as many games of this level to play. So it seems like if you're out of storage right now on launch, it might be because you're downloading tons of games thinking you're going to play them. But I highly doubt you're going to get around to playing all of those, as you know, within the next couple weeks, right? So I don't know how that's really a problem. If you're like a normal gamer will probably have less games on there than I have at the moment. You know, you might be playing Spider-Man and one other game or something like that. You might have Astro's Bugsnax, Spider-Man on there. And if you have that, you have like 500 gigabytes left. I don't see that being an issue for the average person right now. Maybe going forward, if games get bigger, that might be an issue. But funny enough, games are smaller on PS5 than they are on PS4. Like, Spider-Man is 20 gigabytes smaller on PS5 than it was on PS4, and that is because of the SSD allowing developers to only have to put assets, have assets in their save files once, instead of having to put them throughout the game's file so they can grab it quickly enough for the game to run smoothly. So the SSD allows for game developers to have smaller game files, which is a boon as well. I don't foresee storage being that big of a problem if you're playing like a normal person. If you're downloading like half the games you own to your console, that might be a problem. And another thing that helps with storage space, if you don't have a data cap, which I know a lot of people still do, but if you don't, then the download speeds on PS5 are dramatically faster than PS4. I was playing Astrobot when we got the console in, and I started Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Spider-Man Miles Morales' downloads while playing Astrobot. And within 30 minutes, I was able to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And by the time I was done with the first Astrobot level, both Spider-Man and Assassin's Creed had completely downloaded to my system. That would have taken me 10 hours to download one of those games back on PS4. So, the download speeds on PS5 are much better. Now, another thing we should talk about is downloading PS4 games instead of PS5 games. I feel like I've seen people have a lot of problems with this. I'm not sure how, if you're paying attention to what you're doing, you're running into this issue. And I know this is going to sound like really condescending, but if you're just paying attention to what you're doing, you're not going to have this issue. And I understand it's easier on Xbox because the Xbox doesn't make you think about what you're doing. It just does it for you, which is nice. But if you go to the games you're downloading, if you just click the options button on the game, you can select what version you're downloading. So just do that, you know? I see people talking about having these issues with the UI and stuff, and I feel like it's going to be one of those things where if you're older and you're more used to the way the UI has been on the PS4, then it might be hard for you to switch over to this new UI. It's just like getting a new phone or updating your iPhone. I mean, I'm assuming if you're having a lot of problems getting used to this new UI, then you probably had a lot of problems updating your OS to iOS 14 as well, because things have changed. But I feel like, you know, by the end of the year, people who have PS5s and who have had them for a month and a half by that point are not going to be upset about how the UI is laid out. I think it is a faster design. Just one press of the PS button brings up this bar on the bottom. You can access a bunch of the things you need to access from there, check on how your downloads are going, and then press it and you're back into the game. You don't need to leave your game to look at anything anymore. And I think it's a much smoother and faster experience. And if you don't have a PS5 and you have the means to buy one, and assuming you can find one, I think that's the biggest problem right now. People can't find them. But if you can find one and you have the means to buy it, I think it is 100% worth your money to go out and grab one of these. You can get the digital version or the disc version, whatever you want. Yeah, I'm assuming they don't make as many digital versions because Sony's probably eating a lot of the cost of that on their end, but they both run the same, just one has a disc and one doesn't. So go pick up one if you have the money, because I really feel like it is going to change the way you play games. And another thing that does that is the DualSense controller. Astrobot shows you the pinnacle of what this DualSense can do. If all games used it like Astrobot used it, then it would be a no-brainer to play every game you own on PlayStation. But the fact of the matter is, a bunch of third parties aren't going to use it that much. Like Assassin's Creed doesn't use it. And Destiny, I didn't feel much of a change between the DualShock 4 and the DualSense when I was playing Destiny. But Astrobot uses it to the pinnacle. But then games like Spider-Man and Bugsnax and even Call of Duty, and I know Warframe's adding a patch in for this. They use it to the level I think most third parties are going to use it, and I know Spider-Man and Bugsnax are exclusive, but I feel like most games are probably going to try to implement at least a level of usability with the DualSense that they have in those games, because as you're not feeling the difference of the terrain like you do in Astro, like in Astros you really can feel the difference between the sand and the snow and the dirt in the controller, which is insane. It's something you have to experience. But in Spider-Man, Bugsnax, Call of Duty, they don't use the haptic feedback that crazily, but the triggers in Spider-Man, you can feel the difference when you pull, when you're swinging upwards or swinging downwards, and you can really feel like you're shooting the web out because you feel like the resistance in the trigger. So that stuff is appreciated. Call of Duty, every gun feels different in the triggers apparently. I don't play Call of Duty games, but from what I've heard from people who have, my friends who have, each gun feels different to use, which is exciting. And Bugsnax, the triggers, you feel like you're taking the picture because there's some resistance there, and the traps feel different to use. And you can feel him, when you run your character, you can feel them walking on each side of the controller, so it's really exciting to use the DualSense. And I feel like if more games use it to that level, then I think that might actually make the third-party experience better on PlayStation than elsewhere. So I think that's about it for this discussion, a quick preview of my thoughts on the PS5. I might get a longer review out, so later. We'll do video reviews of the big games like Spider-Man and Assassin's Creed, but you can also hear that on the podcast. And for those of you who don't know, Nerds at Odds is a weekly podcast about all things in nerd culture and beyond that me and my fiance Courtney do together every week. It goes live on Fridays. But if you want to get it 4 days early, ad-free, and with the ability to submit your questions, comments, and concerns, you can head on over to patreon.com/nerds at odds and check us out over there. I really appreciate y'all hanging out with me today, and be sure to come back for more content.